Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. This week's episode will be focusing on all your content creator essentials. So this episode really I wanted to title as a content creator starter pack, and I love the idea of this and the concept of this. And when I was kind of researching and noting down, I say researching, I kind of had quite a lot of knowledge on kind of what to talk about today. But when I was breaking it down and doing my research, putting my kind of notes together for this episode, I realized just how much goes into content creation, and it's kind of inspired me to tackle this as part of a series and, give you really in-depth understanding, but also in bite-sized sort of chunks so you can dip in and out and touch on certain things in certain areas that maybe you either need a refresh in or you're starting completely from scratch. So this essentially is a no BS guide to creating effortless content and just showing up and being able to create on the spot or with pre-planning in mind. So when I was coming up with this, I really thought we needed to go back to basics for this first sort of mini episode. And I feel like people sleep on the idea of brainstorming so much when it comes to developing a social media account or starting something from scratch. If I was to create my social media again, there would be so many different things that I would change, and I always feel inspired when I do decide to start something off from scratch. So I feel like my podcast Instagram had a really good head start. And I say head start, it wasn't really anything that I was doing in particular that was, pushing me in a different way, but it was just an understanding and knowledge and things that I wish I knew or kind of have changed over the years, that I would do differently with my original Instagram account, which I've had since I literally created Instagram. So, but with my podcast Instagram, that was really started, with the idea of really being marketed specifically for my podcast. I knew the direction, I knew how it was going to be laid out from the offset. There's not really been many tweaks along the way. I've kind of adapted a couple of things, but the format has kind of stayed the same, and in turn has created and nurtured, a personal brand that I'm proud of. And I feel like there are things that I wish I knew back in the day. So I'm going to share those in case you have stumbled across this, you're searching for, information on being a content creator, or you're wanting to really work on your social strategy for 2024 for your brand or your business, service, etc. It is all going to be relevant. So stick around. I'm going to be, tapping into the early stages, the kind of business development side of creating a social media platform and channel. And that's what today's episode is going to be. We're going to dive into more specifics later down the line, and I'm going to be doing more episodes on this. But this first one is going to really talk about those early stages in business. So really what I want you to do is draw inspiration from not necessarily your competition, but the things around you, content that you're already consuming, things that are, taking your fancy, striking you. This could be the same and relative for platforms like YouTube. Are there thumbnails that you're engaged with? Are there, content that you're really enjoying and you're thinking, do you know what, I'd love to give this a go. I'd love to create this style of content. You can go for that really highly editorialized vibe, or you can go for rough and ready, cutty, choppy videos that are, very raw, or you can really keep it stripped back and have this like long monologue style flow to it. You can have a podcast even that is edited similar to this one, is in a studio and is very, formulaic, versus something that might look and appear to be a general chit chat in someone's bedroom. And those concepts, those things that inspire you and pull you in and enable you to consume that content, that is a clever marketing ploy. Whether that person knows it or not, even the person creating it might think that, they're just creating content, but actually what they're doing is they're serving a purpose and they're serving an audience that wants to consume that type of content and is maybe going to your channel and coming back to your page for that specific thing. And it's not until you start creating that you really see where your niche lies, and where people love to see what you post and what you share. And to this day, I still feel like my personal social media, I don't really know why people come back or why people are watching and consuming. But for me, possibly it might be a lifestyle pillar, but knowing those things and getting really clear on all those little breakdowns of what makes a brand is really going to do you the best service, really, and kind of get you on a good pathway for growing and building a channel or a page. So do your research, look at the category you want to create in, get inspired, take notes, save stuff down. I also think visualizing the ideal goal from creating the content that you want to create. So you could even go off a journal prompt, something like, it would be really cool if I attracted 10,000 subscribers, or I was able to get 100,000 followers. Like those specific details that dictate or will influence the ideal goal for you, and like what it is that you want to do. Like, are you wanting to create social media content for reels, for example, because you want to show other people how to edit a podcast or how to shoot photography, and that's your niche, and that's what you want to kind of reach people that are inspired in that way. I know with a recent ski trip, my For You page, particularly on my Instagram, which is really weird because it's literally come out of nowhere, has been all skiing content, and people literally posting only about skiing and winter sports. So all these different things, there's a niche for everyone, there is a page for everyone, and you will follow the accounts you follow for a reason. If they're in line with your brand or not, you can take away something from that. Even the pages that have nothing to do with your industry, sometimes they can give you and be the greatest source of inspiration. So that is the focus, visualizing the ideal goal for yourself, thinking about the pillars of branding, of social media, of lifestyle, of like where you see the brand sitting. I think answering these questions, and you don't have to answer them literally, but just be thinking about the answers. What are you going to be shooting? Are you in the shot? Are you in the video? Are you the main focal point? Is it actually about, travel? Is it about location? Is it area guides? Is it best places to eat in London? That is less about you and more about location. So what are you shooting first and foremost? Then what is required to get the shot? So is it going to be a phone? Is it going to be a camera, a digital camera? Will you require mics or a mini mic? Think about all the bits of kit you might require. You don't need it all, but if you can roughly know what bits of kit you're going to need, that's going to be helpful for you. A tripod, for example, if you're creating like styling reels. The next one to answer is, what is my focus? What is going to be my bread and butter? If it is a fashion influencer, is my bread and butter going to be how to style videos? And is it going to be simple things like how to style a basic white tee, how to style knitwear, how to style a pop of red? Those little niches, those little ideas are going to be your focus. And then I want you to look at and think about how you would describe your dream content. If money was no object, if you had all the resources in the world, what would that content look like? And then break it down to your budget. How can you access those things and create that style of video? Like, for example, I'd love a drone. I'd love to shoot drone footage, but I know at the moment that's not for me. But how can I create that kind of style of video? I know I can't just like launch my phone up in the air and hope for the best, but I can think about ways that I can get around that. I can think about the stylization of content. If I'm in a hotel, for example, instead of filming it with a drone or something, filming it from high up, or going to the top floor of a building and kind of working on creating the content that way. Break it down, really, really break it down. So think about these 3 categories. The first one being your industry. Where do you sit? If it's in your business, if it's in, a totally new concept that you're building, what industry is it? So take, for example, my podcast, it's women in business. Straight away, that's my industry. Then look at your audience. My audience, I know, is people who are business owners, personal brand girlies, and graduates. people that are in higher education or even in school and are wanting to better themselves, up level their knowledge in personal branding. That's why I said the umbrella term personal brand girlies, because I feel like that, could be anyone. I then want you to look at your pillars. Your pillars are so important. And again, I feel like all I do is talk about content pillars, but it's so important. Mine personally are personal branding being at the forefront. The next one being lifestyle / like manifestation focuses. So things where I'm talking about well-being or manifesting or mindset focused, podcast episodes. That is one of my pillars. And then the last one is business owners. So advice for business owners when I'm sitting down and chatting to brand founders, getting their expertise. That is one of my other pillars. So once you know those categories quite well, you're going to find it much easier to create a plan, really, and an overarching theme. I want you to look into names. I want you to do research into names. Think about how you can create that name across multiple platforms. Make sure it's available. For instance, if you know later down the line you're going to make a YouTube channel, make sure that you can see it available and take the name. Like literally take the name. You can change names. I feel like you can change YouTube names as well. I believe you can still edit those. So just think about that. Even just get those sorted in the early stages of your content creation planning. You're then going to look at what your content is there to do and there to achieve. And for me, it's got to answer like a few categories or a few problem points. So it's either there to invite people into your world, inspire people, be like the fly on the wall feeling where someone's lifestyle is so extraordinary that you are just witnessing their life unfold. For example, the Kylie Jenners, the Sophia Grangers of the world, those people. Or is it going to educate and inspire you or others to live a certain lifestyle? Is it going to be, videos and content like how I saved 10k in a year or how I grew my business to multi 5 figures? Those types of content pillars and those types of like content hooks, are they going to be there in your content? Because that is going to be where you're going to attract attention. And when you launch and when you create that content for the first time, it might take a minute to kind of get that traction, but you never know. It might suddenly start to flow in a particular angle, or you'll accidentally create a piece of content that inspires something else. And before you know it, you're known for something. That's very, very common in content creation. So just kind of have a rough idea, but kind of be relaxed in your approach. I also think it's good to kind of know roughly where or who you'd want to be known for in the next 3 to 5 years. So again, with my personal brand from way back when, my 10 years ago personal brand, I did not fathom that this would be what I'd be doing now. But there is a common thread, which is my podcast name, Staying Sweet, the link, the tie. That is really the common thread that's kind of kept everything in my personal brand tied together. And honestly, if you can work out that point or find that thing that you become known for or that is linked to your personal brand in some way or linked to your business in some way, that will help with that 3 to 5 year vision for yourself. And I think it's important to look ahead. Obviously, don't get too overly kind of scared about things. I've said this already, but kind of tied to the 3 to 5 year plan, think about follower count or engagement rate or subscribers, mailing lists, etc. Where are those numbers and stats going to come in? And then think about your controllable goals. So find controllable goals, things that you're going to do, the discipline that you're going to action in order to get there. So are you going to be someone that films weekly and schedules on a Sunday? I try to do that and aim to do that. I'm not saying I do it every week at the moment, but I try and aim to get a vlog up a week. I try to get a podcast up every Monday by 8 a.m. sharp. That is my rule and that is my routine. And finding those controllable goals will really, really help you stay consistent. Map out where it kind of fits into your lifestyle as well. So next, think about what habits need to change for you to facilitate that content creation. Do you need to wake up an extra hour earlier so you can create? Or will you use your 5 to 9 to content create instead of just go home and eat dinner or maybe go to the gym. Like, think about where you're going to find that time and map it out for yourself. I then want you to think about your dream brands that you think would really be the dream to work with. And I'm not saying that you should, only stick with these brands, but believe in yourself for a minute, because it's possible. There are brands that I have worked with that I dreamt of working with. Even like 3 or 4 years ago, they were like, there's no way in hell that's ever going to happen for me. But I really, really, really want it to. And lo and behold, it has. So it's possible. It's out there. It's doable. The next essential element to, keeping track of how you're going to launch this epic social channel, this platform for yourself, you really need to get inspired and you need to take a note of it. Please do not be that person that comes up with ideas and doesn't take notes. I am the biggest believer in note taking. I have a diary and a journal for everything. I have like a 5 to 10 year plan book. I have an ideas book. I have a content ideas book. I have a running list in my notes app. Like, you could literally just have it in your notes in your phone and keep it at that, and that will be enough. Keep a running list of things that pop up, things you see that are people are posting, trending audios. Make a note of it. Just recognize and track where you're getting your inspiration from, because that's going to be really helpful when you come to sit in front of a camera, for example, and you suddenly have stage fright and you think, I know I had so many ideas, but they've all gone out of my head. It's because you need to take them down, and you need to have note cards, and you need to be ready to go, and prepare for yourself. Prepare for your future self, because sometimes you'll have something booked in, for example, like a recording session, and it could be like the worst drive of your life to get here. I mean, it wasn't today, thank goodness, but it could have been, and it could have really messed up my flow. So just having notes ready to go, it just kind of switches you on, gets you focused, keeps you engaged, and you're not going to get sidetracked, basically. So that's a really important one. I also think considering a freebie or an item that will hook your followers in, if you're somebody who has a business, and off the top of my head, I mean, I'm not going to name the specific brand I'm thinking of, but it's just coming straight to mind. I'm thinking of a sweet brand, and I'm thinking, okay, a freebie, what could we do? I don't know, first 100 people to sign up or subscribe will get a packet of my sweets today. That's a really good freebie incentive. It enables people to try your product. It gets your product out there. It's also enabling you to gain followers, giveaways, that type of thing. All those things are really good ways to hook your followers in. Even doing like an ebook or like something that's a downloadable or a printable, that can really help hook followers in. I think the next most important thing alongside that is to create a solid content calendar for yourself. Something that can fit around you, fit around your work schedule, your business, your social life, your love life, your friend life, like all the things. Make it work for you, because you're going to need to show up. And I think that's why it's important to do your research and your planning and your prep work as far in advance as you can. Get enough down and kind of ready to go, so that when you launch, it kind of flows much more effortlessly, and make that plan work for yourself. Get used to editing on a Saturday and having your video go out on a Sunday morning. Like, get used to that schedule. I also want you to consider how you're going to turn your content pillars into your value pillars, how you're going to add value to everything you create based on those pillars that you've attached to yourself. Value pillars for me might be something like education, inspiration, entertainment purposes. I might literally just be a voice in your ear whilst you commute, and that is that. And actually, you're not taking anything in. That's fine if that's what you want to do to listen to this podcast. Entertainment value is still important. I think another one is relatability. There might be anecdotes in this podcast that just kind of naturally evolve into the episode, and that makes me more relatable, or it inspires someone, or it makes someone think, do you know what? They're in the same boat as me. This is doable. I can do it myself. You might be listening to this podcast today and thinking, I really want to create a new social channel. I want to launch a business. I want to be a part of this greater thing, this social media economy, and I want to get involved. Like, this is your sign too. So Now you're ready to start thinking about creating the content and posting. I just want to share and list a couple of apps that I think you should experiment with during this phase, get used to, try out, kind of see what you like. First one, top one, number one, my holy grail, Canva. Canva, I love you. I adore you. You have been there for me through thick and thin. And honestly, the premium features, so worth it. Like, my life has changed having Canva. And I'm not just saying that. This is not sponsored. I would love to work with them, to be honest. Canva is one of the most incredible, user-friendly, like, requiring no skill set whatsoever platforms. Like, you can learn so many different skills, how to edit thumbnails, how to edit little mini reels and videos and create graphics. It is the most incredible platform. Can't recommend it enough. The next one being CapCut. CapCut is amazing. And now they have this amazing thing which enables you to use templates, user templates, things that other creators have built or posted on their TikToks, on their Instagram, Reels, and you can literally insert, drag and drop your image and video content into these templates. Boom, done. Save, export, post. It's amazing. I'm so passionate about CapCut. I edit all my podcast clips on CapCut. So you guys watching this right now, because I'm going to use this as a clip, you guys watching today on Instagram, on TikTok, I've edited you on CapCut. So enjoy. I hope you love it. Also, subtitles, CapCut, incredible, life-changing. I feel like I'm talking in like one-word sentences, but I'm so passionate about CapCut. I love it. The next one, really, really good one, Tezza. So good. You can edit and create beautiful, beautiful color edits for not just pictures and images, but for video. It's beautiful. I love it so much. I prefer it to using a filter because filters really affect the video quality of, story content. I adore Tezza. I love it so much. It's great. I've been using it for like 2 years now. It's my go-to. I will always use Tezza. Love it so much. And the last one is the obvious one, Adobe Suite. It's bloody expensive. Sorry, Adobe. I love you. I do love you, but you are expensive. But you are so worth it. And you are part of my business. And I wouldn't do it any other way. I wouldn't use any other platform to edit en masse the way I do on Lightroom, on Premiere Pro. I need to get better at Photoshop. That's not my strong suit. But there's so many different platforms, and I pay for the Adobe monthly package, so I'm always getting the updated version, and I love it so much. Being able to edit Adobe PDFs, especially when you need to plonk in your signature for like a contract. If you're getting contracts for Instagram and social media and you need to add and drop your signature, there's a button for it. It's incredible. So let me know, guys, in the comments. Please let me know in the comments, the show notes box, because again, I'm going to leave a box for you guys to drop in all your top tips and your advice, apps you love. Please let me know, like, any advice that I would love to share and reshare on my pages. I'm also going to be creating a more extensive list of my favorite apps, of tips and tricks. I'm definitely doing a part 2 because, again, this episode is literally just the research stage of creating a good social channel. So we've got lots of topics to cover. This series is going to really break down the nitty gritty. I want to be helpful. No gatekeeping here. I really, really want to be that voice and face of reason and give you an insight into this industry, welcome you in with open arms, and just help you succeed in your business and in your personal brand. So thank you so much once again, guys, for tuning in this week. If you did enjoy it, a rating review would be an absolute dream. It really helps me grow this podcast. And yeah, I will see you guys next week for a brand new episode. Stay sweet.